Hi there, Dr. Alan Christianson here. This is one of my favorite topics. This is how you survive outdoors. And this won't be, food and shelter and all that kind of stuff. This is basic stuff, hydration, managing the sun, and then managing your calories. And they're pretty important. I just saw someone a few days ago who was doing some work outdoors and having really bad headaches. And he was, drinking lots of Gatorade, trying to keep himself hydrated, but not getting much for breakfast typically, and having really severe migraines. And, I think that we're going to see that it was all about just how his blood sugar and how his electrolytes and his hydration was playing out. That was the cause of this. He was also finding himself just exhausted after being outside and getting lots of cramps at night. So here's what was happening was that if you consume too much liquid and too little electrolyte, you can make things worse. And if you consume a lot of sugar, it makes a lot of things worse. And that's all Gatorade is. There's really not much use for that stuff at all. You can do better in so many ways. So you want to have some type of barrier between yourself and the sun the bulk of the time. And by barrier, really, physical barriers work best. They've got so many nice clothes that wick, that keep your body from getting clammy and damp, and do a good job actually blocking the sun. We're still not sure how well sunscreens protect. They can keep you from burning, but there's not strong evidence they can protect against the skin cancers. So barriers are great. Hats. I'm in a shaded area on purpose here. I've got total Irish skin that's just ready to freckle and burn and form cancers long term, so I've got to watch that. So big brims make a huge difference. Longer sleeves, collars are a good thing, but covering is the best. Areas you can't, sunblocks are better than sunscreens. So what's a block? That's a mineral. So titanium's been used a lot. It's kind of icky. There's zinc commonly available, and the old zinc was like the lifeguard with the white nose, so you don't need that. They've got new versions of zinc that are clear. There's no color to them. So many good sun blocks are zinc-based. So you want a mineral for a block for whatever you can't cover. And apart from that, minimize exposure. To close that topic, the question will come up about vitamin D. Well, what about vitamin D? Can't you make it? I wish sun exposure was a consistent way to get vitamin D, but it's really not. And we think that the cycle is the oils that our skin uses to absorb vitamin D take many days to mature. And just regular showering and bathing, we can't assimilate it that well. I've seen many people who are outdoors a lot, maybe even with too much sun exposure, and they're just as low in vitamin D as anyone else until they're taking it. So that's not a barrier. So then we've got hydration. And this is totally a double-edged sword. You can be outside, go for a long hike, work in the yard all day, not drink a drop, and wreck yourself, no doubt about it. But you can also overhydrate. So here's how that happens. When you're active and you're doing things, your blood's going to your muscles. You're moving, and that's what the priority is. You're not cranking a lot of blood into your intestinal tract. So you can drink lots of water, but you can't absorb all the water. So if you're drinking faster than you're absorbing, you're making a big pool. You're making like a big swimming pool in your stomach. And that's going to pull salt into it. So not only are you not absorbing it, but it's taking electrolytes out of your bloodstream. This is a tragic thing, but whenever you hear about fatalities on a marathon or an Ironman triathlon, it's almost always someone who is taking a long time out there and they were hydrating very aggressively. So they had 5 or 10 hours to drink tons and tons of water, and it was more than they needed. And they pulled the salt out of their bloodstream, and they rendered their heart unable to beat properly anymore. So overhydrating is a real danger. So you don't want to underhydrate, you don't want to overhydrate. Thankfully, this one's simple. And it's shocked me how narrow of a range there is of how much you can absorb when you're exercising. So the old advice was, here's how much you're probably going to lose, and you've got to drink that much. No, you can't drink that much. If you drink as much as you're losing, you are overhydrating because you lose water faster than you can absorb water. So whether you're a petite woman doing a light workout on a moderate day, or whether you're a huge guy getting your butt kicked going up Pikes Peak, on a hot day, the amount of fluid you can absorb is extremely narrow. There's not a big range. We think it's about 20 to 26 ounces per hour. So not much less, not much more. Really easy concept. Most water bottles, refill. Don't buy ones to throw them away. But most of your water bottles are about 20, 24 ounces. And then you've got packs. I love Camelbacks when I'm doing things that are better hands-free. Most of those, you can find them in increments of about 2 to 3 hours worth of water. So think about 20, 26 ounces per hour. Don't fall behind. Don't go ahead. And it's also really good to pace that. So have a approximate sense of consuming some every so often to where you're about halfway through after half an hour, and keep on pacing it to where you're getting it at a steady stream. That's best for your absorption, to keep yourself alert and energized. The last part of this one is about electrolytes, as far as with the fluids. They're important. There's really a lot of them. The big ones are sodium and potassium. Some other ones that are more minor but still important would be like calcium, magnesium, chloride, but these are the big two. Now sodium, total paradox. The saltier your diet is, the more you lose salt, and the more salt you need. So if you're on a lower sodium diet, you actually need less salt, and you can be more active and not be as dependent upon consuming a lot of salt. So you're better off not being aggressive on your salt intake all the time, and you'll lose less salt and therefore be able to manage your salt better, and you can recycle it and be more effective with it. So most of us that are doing several hours of activities really don't need added salt, assuming we're on a lower salt diet. If you've got a really high salt diet, you should change that. But there are electrolyte replacements that can work. Endurolytes is one that I like. But really, being lower in salt going into it is best. The other big one is potassium. And this one, really, if you're in good shape on your fruits and vegetables, you'll have plenty of that. Bananas always pop into mind, and they're wonderful, but all types of produce, especially greens, are very high in potassium. If you're out for several hours, it's good to get some potassium added as you're going. My very favorite there would be coconut water. So there's coconut milk, the thick stuff for curry, there's coconut beverage, the milk replacement, and there's coconut water. And coconut water is really tasty. You can put a few ounces in your water bottles or your Camelback. Just be sure and rinse it a bit afterwards. But it's very light and neutral in taste, and it's got a good amount of potassium, but also magnesium and chloride. So wonderful version of electrolytes. If you are someone that loses a lot of salt, you can also add a few pinches of salt in with that as well, and do fine from it. So calories, the last part, so like Gatorade with the sugar, do you need calories? If your goal is performance, if you're doing a race, one strategy is to get a certain number of calories per hour, maybe a few hundred. Apart from that, there's really not a benefit. Eat as you would normally. Have a good meal, have some snacks if you're used to them, but you don't need to change your calorie load, and you don't need sugars to help you when you're being active. They actually make you more apt to lose fluid. So take-home messages, keep yourself covered, get 20 to 26 ounces of water per hour, throw in some coconut water, maybe a pinch of salt if you like, and overall have a lower sodium diet, and you will do great. So stay active, have fun. We'll talk again real soon. Bye-bye.